Welcome to Podcast 83, a regular look at the news, stories, and trends related to Michigan's 83 counties from the Michigan Association of Counties.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Podcast 83, the podcast put on by the Michigan Association of Counties. Our typical host, Steve Curry, the executive director, is out visiting counties this week. So I'm taking over. Deena Bosworth, director of governmental affairs. So Steve is not on today, but we do have a new participant. Well, a returning participant on our podcast, Sam Gibson. Now, many of you know Sam. She worked with Mac for about 2.5 years before going out to Washington, D.C. for a little bit. But I'm very pleased to announce that she has come back to work with us. Sam, you want to say something?
Yes, thank you, Deena. I am so excited to be back at MAC. I missed this office and all of our commissioners very much. So went to DC for a little bit, but I'm a Michigan girl at heart. So I had to come back and I'm just elated to be back with the county. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, very, very, very happy to have you back. So thank you. So we're going to change up a little bit on the government affairs team. We're going to do a little bit of issue shuffling. So, I will still take care of all of our finance issues. So anything from taxes and economic development and, financial obligations and all of those things. And then I'm going to work a little bit on some environmental issues, but Jimmy, why don't you pipe in and then Sam, you take over after that. How are we switching things around, Jimmy?
Yeah, so I'm going to be staying with the health and human services aspect. Additionally, I will be working on natural resources, tourism, a little bit of environment as well. So, really looking forward to digging into that. Started digging into septic codes today, so that's an awful lot of fun to get to learn about. I know it's been a big discussion throughout the state. So just really looking forward to jumping into those other issue areas.
Yeah, you're gonna find that septic code's a little contentious for sure around the state of Michigan.
Yes.
Um, Sam, and you're gonna cover.
I will be back on judiciary and public safety, new to transportation and infrastructure, and then I'll also be handling the general government committee and platform.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm so excited to have just a full team. Very, very, very happy. So what's been going on in Lansing this past week or so? The Senate has been working on getting out their recommendations for the fiscal year 26 budget. Happy to report that the General Government Committee, led by Senator John Cherry from Genesee County, has made great recommendations for revenue sharing again this year. As you'll recall, we got a large $30 million bump in statutory revenue sharing last year under his leadership. And now this year, he's recommending a 10% increase to all counties across 10% increase in revenue sharing for counties this year. And it'll go out based on that new formula he adopted last year. So remember, everyone has, that base that they got in fiscal year 24. And then anything new after that goes out to each county based on that inverse relationship they have to the taxable value compared to the whole state. Complicated formula. Department of Treasury has numbers out there. If you're interested, we'll pull those and make those available to you so you know kind of where your county lands, but every county will get an increase under all of these formulas. So we're pretty excited about that. The other thing that he did in his budget is he created a community safety fund, I want to call it. It's much like the public safety and violence prevention fund. We had talked about the policy bills last week that moved out of the House. It's very, very similar to that. But in this one, it's $60 million across the state, 4 counties to use toward crime reduction and prevention. But we can use it in any way we choose. So it's not waiting for those policy bills to get done and going out that way. In his version, he's giving an allocation of about $60 million out. Now, long way to go in the process. I mean, the subcommittee recommendations in the Senate are coming out now. We haven't seen subcommittee recommendations out of the House yet, but still long process. They'll come out of Senate subcommittee. They'll be up in Senate Full Appropriations Committee later this week. And then it'll leave the Senate, go over to the House for consideration. We all know what's the budget deadline? July 1st. July 1st is when they're statutorily obligated. Yep, staff's nodding their heads. Statutory obligated to get the budget done. But we've heard lots of rumblings that it's not likely to happen by that date.
Yeah, not going to hold my breath on that one.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to either. But the state's fiscal year ends September 30th. So they have to get down to negotiations and get it done. If they don't get it done by July 1st, they got to get it done by September 30th. Otherwise, we'll be talking government shutdown threats again. Hopefully it doesn't go that far and they come to an agreement, but wait to see. So what else happened last week, Jimmy? We've been talking a little bit about veterans issues lately. You got some good news for us?
Yes, and this has been something I know that you guys have heard us talk about quite a bit between the podcast, between our legislative updates. The Veterans Service Grant Fund, they had a shortfall of roughly $3.7 million. Had been brought before the Military and Veterans and State Police Appropriations Subcommittee, and the Veterans Affairs Department has really been taking a lot of heat on this. And this is not a partisan issue. This has been bipartisan. And luckily, we have a very great champion in the House, and that is Representative Julie Rogers. And this past week, she introduced House Bill 4423, which is an appropriation from the general fund for $3.7 million. So that is going to be, making the counties whole. As of right now, again, really feeling good about the chances of this hurrying up and passing. It had broad bipartisan support for sponsors on it. It's currently in the Appropriations Subcommittee, but this will be going to the Military, Veterans, and State Police Appropriations Subcommittee. And what makes me feel really good about this is that the chair of that committee is also one of the sponsors on that. I've been talking to some of the members, and they see this being a very big issue that they're going to be bringing up for discussion very quickly, just because this is such an issue on a bipartisan level. And this is just going to be a really great moment for both sides to show, hey, look, we can work together, and this is an issue that can be solved quickly. So again, really excited to see this bill be brought up. Very happy that Rep. Rogers is taking the leadership on this, and we'll be doing everything we can to see this get across the finish line as soon as possible. So again, just super excited to see that take place.
Yeah, just for a point of clarification, thank you for that, Jimmy. That's great. Yeah, very happy to see that done. But a point of clarification, this is a supplemental budget bill. So this is something that we want to enact for this fiscal year that we're currently in, because that's where the shortfall is. This isn't something that, money's not going to be available until 2026. This is money that they're setting aside to make all those counties whole that had already applied for that grant, already got awarded certain dollar amounts for that grant. And then the department said, oops, we don't have enough money. So hopefully they can act very quickly and get it done, because it does affect this fiscal year and county budgets that have already been adopted. So that's awesome. Thank you very much for that. Still tons of bills getting introduced. Oh my goodness. I just went through the whole list again, and there's just hundreds of bills that are going to affect counties. So we'll be out there paying very close attention to that. Anything else? Anything else? No? All right. Well, our committees are continuing to meet right now. They're working on our policy platform. So just a reminder to all of those that are on our committees, we need your amendments, changes to those platforms as soon as you can get them together and want to offer them. We'll try and finalize those yet this month in May. Then those platforms will go to our full board this summer to vote on. They'll review them and vote on them. And then our entire membership, so everybody who's not on a committee or on the board who's listening, you have the chance to review them and vote on them at our annual conference this fall. And with that, if we don't have anything else, everybody have a great week and let us know if you need anything. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Podcast 83.